When these two are in phase, they disappear and the higher begins to appear. Just like suppose we have a staircase to go upstairs with a turn. There is a light downstairs, another light upstairs, and where you take a turn you have a switch. If you go there and change the switch, the light downstairs will be darkness and the light upstairs will be on. Like that, when the rajas and tamas, that is the inertia and the activity, come to a neutral or phase, then these two disappear and the higher nature begins to appear. Then only it is intuition. Otherwise, it is the analysis of the psychological unit. Intuition is the synthesis of the psychological unit, where the parts of the psychological unit disappear and the one unit, intuition, will appear. That is it. Now, this includes the triangle, includes, that is mind, buddhi and ego, includes mental and emotional of the Tibetan terminology. This triangle, that is mind, buddhi and ego, the three among the five, they include the mental and the emotional. And this includes the physical. The physical. So we have the division of the 7 main planes or lokas of existence according to our Tibetan also. He has given us a magnification of a section of the whole creation and the constitution of man, because for the first time he is introducing it to the Occidentals. And the Orientals have almost forgot it, and the Occidentals, it is the just beginning of it. So he had to make a sectional microscopy of the whole thing. It was necessary. Then after, these things are familiar to us according to the classification of the Tibetan. We can superimpose this picture upon the bigger background of the scriptures. That is what he means. So can I wipe it up?
Yes.
So here the higher nature, what we call soul, also belongs to this nature. Here exists what we call soul. So when we awaken with this, we are beyond the influence of the three qualities. And the soul has its counterpart. These two have the counterpart. This is the absolute spirit, the divine.
Is the ninth one known as Jehovah?
Ninth one?
Is known as Jehovah or tenth one? Man, female God.
These two put together is called Jehovah by the Hebrews. Because this is called Jehovah and this is called Jehovah. That is true. And the Indian symbolism of scriptures gave it as the androgyne, that is Ardhanari.
Is this also in India?
Yes. You see the picture of Shiva half as man, half as woman. You have seen it? This is the representation of this. It is called Ardhanari, that is half man and half woman. We have many representations of this. And also in the temples we have a representation of this, like this, and we have the representation of the whole thing like this. This is called the Shivalinga, Lingam. In the temples, in Indian temples, you find an emblem like this. It is unfortunately understood by the first Occidentals who came from the Britain as the male organ and the female organ. They thought it like that. They called it the phallic symbol. Poor fellows. Especially one fantastic idiot called Hunter. He has written a book, Is India Civilized? He has described this as the worship of the sex organs by the Indians. Of course, Aurobindo has given a very decent and well-organized, non-emotional clarification and a reply to the fellow. Aurobindo also has written a book by the same name, Is India Civilized? And he has explained it. Now you can know more about this if you go through the sacred doctrine of blood. It is an ocean, it contains everything. Yes. Now we go to the next step. What happens when we do these two things? That is self-awareness, repetition, and detachment. We will grow self-conscious. And then what happens? We have what we call, what Patanjali calls the intuitional capsule, which is your real existence. A capsule means a pill, a container.
Can you please repeat?
Yes.
Sir,
Is okay?
yes. Please with the intuitive effect.
Yes. When the process is continuously practiced, there is the repetition of the self-awareness until it becomes a continuity, and also the detachment. Then the intuitional capsule of yourself will reveal itself. And it contains the following items. The first item is the I amness, which is the reality in you. And discrimination. That is the instinctive capacity to decide, to know what is temporary and what is permanent, what is eternal, what is periodical, what is desirable and what is not desirable, what is to be taken, what is to be rejected. When the lower nature is there, it is to be rejected. See, after the lower nature is observed in you, there is nothing that is to be rejected. That you will know with the help of this content ingredient of the whole capsule. This is the second item, and the third item is the application AP organ.
APT.
Application. These three faculties are made in the capsule. Application means you will begin to apply yourself. Before that, you are knowing, you are thinking, and you are receiving, and then sometimes you are applying what you are knowing. But here you are like fire. It applies. You see, if you have a matchbox, you have to apply it. But if you have fire here, it is continuously applying. That change occurs in you. That is, application is realization in thought, word and action simultaneously.
In the Christian churches,
Yes.
we have always one flame.
Yes.
Isn't that?
Yes, this is the one flame which is called threefold.
Is that?
Yes. Yes. It is these three items put together. The I amness, that is the ray of your real existence. Just like the sun has his ray, it is the ray of your real existence. And the discrimination, automatically when the light is there, you will know articles in the room, and you will know which is needed immediately and which is not needed. The second aspect. The third aspect is application. On the physical plane, these things are different from application. You see, when we come to the physical, the seventh subplane of the seventh plane, the application is different from the other two. That is why in the Indian scriptures it is said, on the lower plane, the container is different from the contained. You see, on the physical plane. Here an example is given in the Indian scriptures. Suppose there is a tumbler made up of ice, ice block. You put water in it. The container is different from the contained. Also on that plane, when there are 2 or 3 ice blocks, they have separate identity. On the higher plane, the whole thing becomes water. The container is the contained, and there is no mutual objectivity. Okay. So, the Lord of the plane and the lower planes, the Lord or the angel of the plane is different from the plane itself. When you go higher to this plane, the Lord of the plane is himself the plane. His existence and himself are identified. That's the reference according to the Indian scriptures. This is also an interesting point. Now, when this capsule reveals itself, the lower disappears. Just as when 1,000 candle power lamp is given, the 30 candle power bulb will lose its existence in it. So everything is transmitted only from this pole.
This is also the same. The disciple has to become himself to the plane.
Yes.
If he becomes himself the plane,
Yes.
then
He should be the plan. He should become the plan before he treads the path. He is expected to become the path.
this is
Yes. Now, this state is called by Patanjali Samadhi. Clear? Of course, clear to the mind, but Samadhi is different. Because our knowing is not identified with our application. They are still having a gap. We know it now, what samadhi is. And this samadhi has two stages. We attain it by two stages. The first stage is when we feel the presence of these three. It is very subtle. When we feel the presence of these three faculties, it is the first type of samadhi. It is called conscious samadhi. When we are new to it, we are conscious of these faculties. Then we are in the conscious samadhi. Just as when we purchase a new car, for some time, some days, we are conscious of the car. After some years, the car will be with us, but we are not conscious of it. Though a layer of consciousness is driving and protecting the car and making it clean and everything. We do the same thing, but we do not feel its existence separately. That is the B type, the second aspect of samadhi. Then only the capsule exists and not the parts. It is called supra-conscious samadhi. These are the states we are promised to attain when we follow the procedure given by Patanjali. So this finishes the syllabus of the study. That is, we have known our prospectus and the syllabus of our university course. Okay. Then to the practical class. He leads us then to the practical. That is, now he has to take us to the laboratory and make us start our experiment with the apparatus. That is what he does from the 18th aphorism onwards. Now we have come to the 17th aphorism till now of Patanjali. Previously he has given us 2 steps and now he continues the 3rd step. The first step is abhyasa, that is repetition of self-awareness. The second step is detachment. The third step is total surrender. Total surrender. To whom is the question? To the 9th aspect of nature.
What he calls Ishvara.
Ishvara.
Yes.
Yes, it is called to Lord, to the Lord consciousness. to the Lord consciousness. Ishvara means Lord.
Oh.
In Sanskrit, the word Ishvara means Lord,
Mm.
who rules, the ruler, the king, like that. Of course, the king and something more. King is not enough to explain Lord. It is Lord. One who has the domain and domination over all. So, you should know how to make a total surrender to the Lord in you. Here, you know, when a car is in disorder on the street, you have to make it stop again.
It's the soul, but also what we talked about, the ninth aspect of nature, that is Ishvara.
It's also soul.
Yes, that is what we call soul. So there is a trouble now, a block. That is, we have to take the car to the mechanic. Why? We have to make it start. But to take it to the mechanic, we have to make it start. Here comes the trouble. Then we need another car to pull this. Okay? Then that is what is called the guru in the external sense. That is the teacher who is an external body. If whom we call another person by the lower mind. So here at this step, it is absolutely necessary to have another person as our teacher. After some time, when the mechanic has done everything, our car starts, and the difference between another person and our existence goes away, and then the word guru means something more. So here the clarification comes. The guru is inside also, but at first the guru should be found outside and he should find us. And then we will find the guru in us, in him, in you, in everyone. So at first there is a trial and a test which is an automatic treatment and healing of all our complexes. To accept some other person as our teacher, theoretically we can accept in the university sense or the college sense. But
The total surrender.
here comes the necessity to cut off our complexes with our own lower mind. We have to do it only with the lower mind. The moment we have cut off, the necessity to cut off complexes goes away. But unless we cut them off, the necessity to cut them off will not go away. Unless we make a total surrender of our personality to another person, we will have no chance of crossing the barrier of our vanity or lower egocentric action. And when once we cut off, the lower ego disappears and there is no necessity for us to surrender to another person. And unless we surrender to another person, there is the necessity to surrender to another person. When once we surrender to another person, the necessity to surrender to another person disappears. That is the test at the threshold. Some people question, is it necessary to have a guru? Can't we do all these things? So, years pass away and they die. and in the next birth also, if they continue the question, they will not progress further. That is one question to be clarified. Another question is, suppose we make a wrong choice and make a total surrender. What happens? Suppose that person is an idiot who can lead us into troubles. Suppose we make a total surrender to an astral beast. What happens? The truth is that nature always protects us by making a law applied to us. The first of the occult laws comes into existence here. That is, when you make a total surrender to an astral beast, or a cheat, or a deceit, or a person who wants to squeeze money or opportunities or property or make use of yourself, then if your surrender is really sincere and if it knows no difference at all, if it is total, then you are benefited and the fellow goes down. That is what nature does. This happens only when you are sincere. When the person who makes a total surrender is really sincere in his total surrender, and whatever insincerity is shown on the part of the Guru, it eats the Guru and burns him away. And the disciple is safe, and he is benefited by his surrender. This is the first occult law in nature, which we grow confident only after experience. But this is very, very difficult as far as the Occidental mind is concerned. Because the personality shell, the shell of the personality capsule is hard as stone and iron to the Occident. Here comes the difficulty to the Occident. In the other steps comes the difficulty to the Orient. The Orient is lacking in something where he faces his trouble. The Occident has something lacking in something where he faces his troubles. Here it is troublesome to the Occident. Because as Occidentals, we live on our personality. And to submit personality means it is worse than suicide. Here comes the trouble. And how to make this total surrender? That is, you have to accept the succession of events occurring to you. Because he knows it. A total mental acceptance of the incidents occurring to you. Because you will understand gradually that nature is wiser than you and nature is leading you. The less and less the resistance is of the lower mind, the more and more are the efficient operations of nature upon you. Now, whatever philosophy we may speak, it is difficult. We want something to make the way clear. Next step is to make the way clear. He gives like this. Next step, to make it clear. Invoke the Lord. So this is the direct effective method, invocation of the Lord. You have to call the Lord. You have to make a call to the Lord. From the lower mind, lower non-self, to the higher self, you should make a cry. And the cry should reach him through the telephone. And how to cry is the next question. Here it is given. His utterance is Om. Here is a peculiar meaning in the prayer, his utterance. During the first half, his utterance means his name. That is, when you utter Om, you are uttering his name. Continuously, daily for some time, begin to utter Om vocally, mentally, and also in your daily routine. He will tell you how to do it later. And when you begin to do this, this reaches him. And his utterance in the second aspect begins. His utterance means he begins to utter. It is his voice as well as his name. You see, there are two aspects in it. His name is Om, and his language and his voice is also Om. When you begin to utter Om, you are uttering and addressing him. And after some time, when you are tuned to him, he is uttering to you, through you, because his utterance is also the same. You will find him speaking through you. This is the next step. And how to utter? It is to utter through inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. That is, while you are inhaling the breath and while you are exhaling the breath, you have to utter the Om. That is, as your respiration, in the form of your respiration, you have to utter Om. How to do it? Tomorrow. The absorption and the neutralization of the lower impulses of mind and senses is to be attempted. That is the first step. We have seen. A repeated attempt from the conscious mind is the second step. And a spirit of detachment to the environmental activity is the third item. And then to offer ourselves, dedicate ourselves to the Lord consciousness in us, that is the Lord of the soul, is the next step. How to do it is described here. The first step is make an invocation, and you have to know his name. His name is called Om, and his voice is also Om. That is what is given by Patanjali and Bhagavad Gita also. When you begin to invoke, you have to utter Om, and during the course, the change takes place, that he begins to speak, the Lord begins to speak in the voice Om. He speaks through your voice. That is what is described till now. You have to begin to invoke his name, and he begins to invoke because it is both his name and his voice. That is what is described. And while doing it, that is vocally speaking Om out, that's not enough. There should be something else. And that something is described. And it should be uttered forth along with your respiration. That is what is given up to yesterday. And how to do it. Before knowing it, the process, we have known till now that we have to sit down at a calm place, which is clean and pure. Make ourselves comfortable. There should be no discomfort to any part of the physical body. And then begin to chant Om with our voice. Before that, some additional information is given. You have to utter, and at the same time, you should have the attitude of thinking of it and observing it. These are the steps. That is, you have to listen to your own voice while uttering. As long as you listen to your own voice, the supplementary apparatus of listening and producing sound are linked up. Then there is the completion of the circuit, like that of the apparatus of an electric current, the generator. If there is a gap, the current doesn't flow. If everything is connected or linked up, then there is the flow of the current. Similarly, you have two counterparts of the same mechanism, that is the uttering apparatus and the listening apparatus. You have to link up both. Close your eyes, begin to utter and listen to your own utterance, your own voice, and try to think of the significance and the meaning of your own voice. That is one injunction given by speaking Om out. Because an vocal utterance of Om doesn't have any significance unless there is something else. If you see a siren blowing continuously, and if you utter Om continuously, there is no difference when it is not linked up. We know many sirens in many factories and many offices being blown continuously for few minutes. We can't call it Om. But the sound may be sometimes the same. You might have heard some sounds mechanically produced, yet resembling the sound Om. But it cannot be Om, because Om is not only a sound but also a word and a meaning and a significance and a touch, a sensation and an awakening. All these put together is called Om. That is the name of the Lord consciousness. You should do this. And that process of linking up all these things is called japa. You should make a japa of Om. The japa includes utterance, listening. You have to utter and you have to listen to it. Observing, try to understand the meaning of the word Om. Just as when we use words, we attach the meaning of the word also as our intention. Feeling, sensation, and the touch of the higher consciousness or the Lord of soul or the soul. When all these are attempted as an attitude in you, then it is called japa. You have to utter Om in that way. That is what Patanjali says and what Bhagavad Gita also says. And Bhagavad Gita supplements a little more in this respect. We can notice that also, it is important. You have 3 sources of wisdom in you, according to the Vedic tradition. The one is your voice. The other is its cause, which is called breath. Voice is produced by breath, respiration. And the third is meaning. The fourth is application. Every one of us have these 4 implements of wisdom. They are figuratively called the 4 volumes of the Vedas. Of course, we have literature called 4 volumes, but this is the definition of the 4 volumes of the Veda. And those who know the significance of these things, they call the utterance of Om as eternal awareness. In Sanskrit it is called Aksharam. So Bhagavad Gita supplements this also. Yad Aksharam Vedavido Vadanti. Those who know the wisdom of the Veda, they say that this is called, the utterance of Om is called the eternal awareness. So try to tune yourself into the awareness of the eternity. The process is called japa. While doing this, you will have the utterance and the person uttering. 2 items. We are uttering it and we are there. While doing this, it is said that you begin to enter it and you are sublimated with it, and there is a null of your existence here in your body, mind and senses. That is called the process of entering into it. Yadaksharam Vedavido Vadanti. Vishanti yad yataya havyataraga. Vishanti means enters. They enter. They begin to